The Christmas Night Murder by Lee Harris. Chapter 1. It was my first Christmas as a wife, and I discovered pretty fast that 15 years as a nun and a little more than a year as a single secular woman had not prepared me for the holiday as a married woman. As though a chemical change had occurred within me, I found it was not enough to put up a small tree and decorate it as I had the year before, my first Christmas out of the convent. From deep within me came the desire to do more, much more, so that Jack, my husband of 4 months, would feel both the memories of Christmas as a boy and a sense that we were starting our own traditions, our own way of celebrating, so that years from now, in the next century, I marveled, our progeny would describe Christmas in our house as wonderful and memorable and the only way to celebrate, an old-fashioned Christmas. But I had a lot of obstacles. It was easy enough with the man in the house to acquire a larger tree, to decorate it extravagantly, to put lights outside and in hard-to-reach places, but Christmas is so much more than a tree and lights. It is smells, the smells of special seasonal foods cooking, and once-a-year cakes and cookies baking in your own oven. I was almost completely at a loss. Having entered St. Stephen's earlier than the usual post-high school age because of the loss of my parents and other family problems, I had never had the opportunity to learn to cook at my mother's side. At the convent, where baking began weeks before the holiday, I had never participated. The nuns displayed their individual talents to benefit everyone, and a handful of excellent cooks and artful bakers, each with a few specialties and the desire to produce and share them, saw to it that we ate well much of the time. My talents lay elsewhere. I eventually got a master's in English and taught at the convent college. The closest I ever came to a cookbook was descriptions of food in the books I read. Dickens's portrait of old Fezziwig's Christmas dinner was incorporated into my personal Christmas lore. Thus, at age 31, I could cook only to stave off hunger, and I had never baked in my life. With a policeman husband who had made a more than respectable cook of himself and who had a palate I envied, I was still too shy after 4 months of marriage to try new dishes, while the thought of baking brought me to a near panic. I had more or less decided after I left St. Stephen's and moved into the house in Oakwood that my aunt had left me that I would survive without learning how to cook. So what if the newspaper of record devoted pages every week to this increasingly popular activity? Did I have to run with the crowd? It was enough that I ran, or walked, on the streets of Oakwood every morning that the weather allowed. If Jack wanted a good meal, he could have the pleasure.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?